No signal. Yes, there we are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Martina.
We're live.
We're live and this is happening. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Steven, CEO and co-founder of Walter, and on my right is...
Martina, Head of Business Development. I'm responsible for all partnerships with our big partners at Walter.
Nice. But today we're not here to talk about partnerships or startups. We're here to talk about home buying, especially home buying together with Walter. My esteemed colleague behind the technology is Justin, who hopefully is able to share my screen and help me share a little bit more about how we use Walter to help buyers in the Netherlands secure the winning offer in record-breaking time. Before we get started to demo the platform, let's have a little chat about why we believe you should be able to get access to all the real estate data that is available and why that is so important while making your home buying decisions. Martina, 3, 4 years, 5 years ago already, you actually bought your first or second home?
My first house.
Using Walter. Tell us a little bit more about how you used Walter back in the day.
Yes. Okay. So I was then back in the days I was renting a very expensive apartment in Amsterdam together with my boyfriend. And when we decided to buy a house, it was so hard to find all the data in one place. So I always felt like I was missing out on information, and I didn't really want to work with a broker or a makelaar because I felt like, why are you going to take 2% or 1% of the house that I'm buying, and you cannot even tell me for how much I'm going to buy the house for? So I felt like I wanted to do it myself, so we did. And we used Walter Living. We used actually all of the documents that can be found, all the PDFs, all the data that was there back in the days that is still here, but there's so much more in the meantime. And I actually bought my second home, so I moved. I don't have two houses. Not so long ago, 6 months ago, so I also sold my old house. So I feel like I'm an expert now, and yeah, I stuck around at Walter and still having so much fun. So I'm glad to be able to do this, and I'm also very much looking forward to answering some of the questions you have, because we have a chat and we're here, we're live, so please ask away.
Nice. So you bought your first home with Walter 4 or 5 years ago. After I bought my second home, I thought, why is it so incredibly hard to get access to real purchase prices, neighborhood information, up-to-date listings, pretty much all the things that we built into the Walter platform. When we started Walter 6 years ago, we were really focused on just giving you access to data. But along the way, we got more questions about, hey, Walter, can you help me negotiate? Can you help me submit the offer? Can you help me review the contract? So slowly, Walter evolved from being just a home buying platform to a buying agent. When we started Walter, we never thought that we would call ourselves realtors or makelaars. No. But that slowly evolved into Walter becoming the largest buying agent, the largest aankoopmakelaar in the country. We do this with 4 different services. So before we do a deep dive into the platform itself, we'd love to share a little bit more about the 4 different services that we use at Walter. Justin, can you share my screen? And I'm getting the thumbs up and all the right things. At Walter, we have 4 different services. Walter is always available for free for everybody that wants to get access to, I would say, the tip of the iceberg in terms of data. You can create your account on our website and simply make use of the Walter reports and our new AI feature. If you want to get access to the most recent transaction prices, if you want to get access to Walter Maps, if you want to be able to have unlimited conversations with our AI, upgrade to Walter Plus. And Walter Plus conveniently works just as your Netflix subscriptions. If you're no longer house hunting, just cancel your subscription and you're good to go. If you want on-demand advice of one of our top aankoopmakelaars. I think it's my favorite product that we ever built at Walter. Martine, Walter Sessions. Tell us a bit more about like why we love sessions and why we believe everyone, whether you're buying, selling, renting, why you should book a session.
Yes, so Session is our on-demand service where you can book a call with one of our makelaars right away. So we have time slots open pretty much any moment of today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. And it's so nice because we really believe that people can buy their homes themselves. But sometimes you just want to talk to an expert, double check your numbers, because eventually you're buying your future home, hopefully. And for most people, that is an emotional thing as well. So we're here to give you that reality check. Like, you did a great calculation, but we also see this. Did you also look at that? Because if you find the house that you really, really love, there's always the risk of overpaying. Or if you feel like I don't want to overpay too much, maybe you're going to miss out on this one. So I really love it that in whatever situation you are, if you're currently renting and you have the opportunity to buy that house, or if you're have a house and you want to know how much it's worth and you want to buy your second house, you can use all of those 40 minutes that we have in one session to talk to an expert and take the next step.
Nice. The best thing about sessions, like Martina said, it's on demand. You can book your first session today at 12:30. You get matched with one of our buying agents. And these are the exact same agents that I think last month won close to 60 houses.
Yes.
Talking about the buying agents,
Yes.
we have our best service where you get everything. We call this Walter All-in-One. With Walter All-in-One, you'll get matched with a dedicated buying agent, your aankoopmakelaar, who will be there every step of the way. From reviewing documents to preparing your offers, helping you do a bid review. It's a 20-minute conversation where you jump on a call with your aankoopmakelaar, and they will tell you exactly why we believe a property is worth 10,000 more than the list price, 20,000 less than the list price. They will help prepare your offer. They will negotiate on your behalf. They will close the deal. Martina, we love data, so we know the number, right? So last month we did close to 150 offers. I believe that 37% of the offers that we're submitting become winning offers. Just over 40 days from start to finish on average for most people who join our buying service. So if you signed up for the free account, upgraded to Walter Plus, then did your session, and then in the end sign up to the buying service, you'll probably spend way less time than the average home buyer. You'll spend less money because one of the most important things is our pricing. Why is Walter just $26.50 and not 1% of the purchase price? Like,
Yes.
why is this really expensive, or is it not so expensive?
I'm so glad you mentioned it. I was
Thanks.
afraid you were going to
No.
skip it. No. So we have a fixed fee because we like to be transparent. We like to be open and honest in the way that we go about and how we do business. So the reason that we have a fixed fee is because whether you're buying a house that is 300,000 euros or 3 million, the work and the steps that you have to take are the same. So it doesn't matter in what situation you are, what house you're buying. We're here for you every step of the way, and you only pay that amount if you actually win the house with us. And when you get the keys at the notary, that is when you pay us. And I think that's very different from other parties as well.
This is very different, and just to tell people like how confident we are. Do we need to sign any contracts, any service agreements when we start working with Walter?
We don't do that. We don't go into the red tape. We don't like the tiny letters everywhere in a difficult contract. No, we don't do that. We tell you, just try it out, meet your realtor, meet one of our makelaars, and see if there's
there's a good match.
Yeah, if there's a good match, and also if you feel at any certain point like this is not for me, I'd rather have somebody, or I want to do it myself. I really don't need anybody. You can always step out, no cost, whatever involved.
And I think that's one of the most important things. We trust that you are serious about home buying, just as our aankoopmakelaars are. If somewhere down the line you feel that we have not done a great job, if you think that you can do it better or more efficient than your aankoopmakelaar, you're free to do so. For me, having the ability to just tell people you will only pay once we are successful, when you pick up the keys to your house, is the most important part of our pricing. Enough about pricing and promotions. Many of you have probably already used Walter. I want to share some of the new features that we've launched over the past couple of months. Starting off with the old-fashioned Walter report, moving onwards to showing Walter maps, one of our, I would say, biggest features. And we have some pretty cool things lined up for Walter maps later on. And we want to share a little bit more about how we make those calculations in what we call our CMA, which is pretty much a tool where you can browse comparable houses for every listing in the Netherlands. And based on those transaction prices, we will tell you exactly what the valuation of the house is.
Yes, because this webinar is the data deep dive. So we're really going to dive deep into the data. So what is the first thing you're going to be showing us?
Well, the first thing is that we need to play a little game, which is Guess the City. Justin, if you can fire up my screen, we should see one of the largest real estate platforms in the Netherlands, Funda.nl. Most people are either addicted or they really, really don't like the platform. Martina, we kind of love Funda and we want to make sure that we just pick a random house. I was in Wijchen before, but can you name a random city? We'll just show you how most people use Walter. What city should we go to?
Let's do Haarlem.
Haarlem. So let's go to Haarlem. And then random page number.
7.
7.
Lucky
works.
number 7.
Lucky number 7. So let's go to the Monteverdistraat 280. So one of the most important things that we do as a buying agent is try to have a very deep understanding of the ins and outs of a property without physically being there at the property. We'll explain later on why we believe this is the right approach. If we take a look at the Monteverdistraat, most important thing for us, this is a modern house, a double plus A label. Some of the big features that we always want to spend time on is obviously where is this house placed, but also just checking some of these facts. The Homeowners Association is 133 euros a month, which is perfectly fine. It's a brand new house, 2023. And if we see a property from 2023, I guess later on we'll probably skip doing a building inspection. The house is so new, very, very unlikely that something structurally is unsound with this property. And if we take a look at the house itself, as you can guess, this is pretty straightforward, right? Everything looks super nice. Just skipping through the listing itself, kitchen, everything is only a few years old. So later on we'll probably take a more exciting house. But for now, copy and paste the Funda link and we go back into the Walter dashboard where we want to create a property analysis. Very conveniently, copy and paste your Funda link into the search bar. And if all goes well, we already have all the details available on our platform. Click on next and we immediately have the property report ready. So first thing that we're going to do is just go to the property report and have a look at our first estimates for this house. 2 numbers will show up later on, but first off, we'll start off with the estimated market value. Estimated market value for Walter when it is in a looks like new state, slightly below the list price. And then later on, we'll figure out do we actually agree with this fully automated calculation, or based on the latest numbers, do we want to make some corrections over there? The favorite graph of all of our buying agents is the graph that we're looking at right now. 50 of the most recent apartments that were sold spread out based on square meter prices. Why are square meter prices so important? We've detected a few patterns in the market, where the most obvious one is that if a property is in a worse condition than it is like new, the average price is much lower per square meter. And the second thing, the larger a house is based on the living area, the lower the price per square meter. So I am unsure if you can see my browser or cursor moving, but you can kind of see a sliding scale down to the bottom right at the top of the market, and you can see the same pattern at the bottom of the market. And we want to make sure that we actually take a look at what a property is worth today, and we do not want to zoom in too much on the previously recorded transaction price. Because if a property was sold, let's say 6 months ago, and the market has been going up and up, the purchase price from back in the day is no longer the real value of that comparable house. So I often switch on expected sales price today, and you can already see some of these dots moving up a little bit, which means that if a property was sold 8 months ago with a purchase price of 8,222 euros, nowadays it is already worth just 200 euros more per square meter. So focusing on those purchase prices that we get in from the official land registry, we then take a look at what those numbers would mean in today's market. With a fancy word, we index those purchase prices.
So can anybody see these numbers on Walter?
Anyone that signs up for Walter Plus, Walter Sessions, or our buying service has unlimited access to everything that we're seeing on the screen right now.
Yes, okay.
So we have our first estimates, and with a very new house, and this is where the deep dive starts a little bit, right? So with a very new house, you will notice something very, very strange. You'll see a so-called VOS value, the VOZ-waarde in Dutch, which is extremely low in the beginning. Why is it so low? Especially for a new development, this 25,000 euro number is not the value of the property. This is just the value of the plot of land that the house is developed upon. The municipality has to tax something, and then you'll slowly see it growing from the first moment that the house was delivered to the current owners. And then slowly it gets indexed closer and closer to the real market value. This is also why our automated value, and I think the automated value is way on the lower end of the spectrum, simply because it has been taking into account the development of the house, which is still relatively new. So to fix that, we are actually going to create our own calculation. We are going to hit the CMA button. And when we do so, we are going to make sure that we can have a big look at the map. Here in Haarlem, we have close to 10,000 transactions that have all the listing data available, the transaction prices, the home interior, etc., etc. The closer to home, the better, Martine. So let's zoom in, go all the way to this exact building. And in this building, we can actually see a little bit more, 8 comparable houses, where some of these houses have a great comparison score and some of them are marked as not comparable. Why is a house not comparable? We want to make sure that we actually compare properties that have a very similar living area and ideally sold very recently. In this case, this house and the living area is too different from the house that we're looking at. So we are going to, and this is an easy one, we are just going to add the 4 most recent comparable houses, which results in a market value of 387,000 euros.
Is this something that an appraiser normally also does?
This is a great question. This is exactly what an appraiser typically does. So the market value at Walter always takes into account a couple of things. First of all, it takes into account the transaction price from back in the day into the expected sales price in today's market. We then take into account any differences in square meter prices, making sure that if a house is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, we make that small correction for the prices per square meter. We also want to take a look at the interior of each house. In this case, all these buildings and all these listings are from 2023. They all have very new kitchens. So we can simply save our calculation, go back into the report, and we can actually see our own calculation being slightly higher than the calculation that Walter made. Always trust your own calculations. The estimated market value is a first good indication of what the historical value of this house could be. But if we take a look at the desktop valuation, absolutely important to take that into account. Now,
is this what you have to bid then? The 387?
that is an excellent question. And the real simple answer is I'm not sure just yet. Right? So we made our first calculation based on a set of comparable houses that we can review down below. We can see excellent comparable houses, obviously the same energy labels, same year built, same building type. Some sold a little bit longer ago, others very recently. And here we can see the jump between the winning bid or the purchase price and the expected sales price in today's market. This is the work of an appraiser. This is also why we believe it is ridiculous that people have to pay over 700 euros for an appraisal report.
900 if
900
you're in The
nowadays.
Hague or Amsterdam.
Everyone can do this on their own. Now we have our base calculation, but the market isn't always fair in today's market, and realtors especially aren't really fair with their purchase prices and list prices. So if we scroll all the way down, we see, and this is the, it's a little bit of a sad graph, to be honest. We're looking at how much to outbid in Boerhaven in Haarlem. And we can see purple dots being listings that were sold above the list price and red listings that are sold below the list price. Especially over the past 3 or 4 years, overbidding has become the standard almost everywhere in the country. But in Haarlem, it's even more extreme, where the average is about 12% above the list price, with outliers all the way up to 21% above the list price. So are you going to win this house with 387? I am very, very likely to lean towards answering the question with no. So what can we do? We can actually do 2 things. And my new favorite thing is to start off with browsing Walter Maps. If we take a look at Walter Maps, on the left side, we can open Walter Maps. It should already be at the Monteverdistraat. And here we can see like how is Haarlem actually built up. We have a few different layers. You can actually see the entire country. We're right here in Amsterdam. In Haarlem, we can see a very expensive area right here near Heemstede, Aardehout, big villas.
How do you know it's expensive?
We know it's expensive in this case because it's red and because I actually know what those colors stand for. So if you do want to understand those colors better, simply open a layer panel and have a look at the WOZ value, the WOZ-waarde for each individual property. But that's not everything. You can also switch layers by looking at the year built. So where are the new developments? This development is so new that it isn't even in the layer just yet. But we can also look at energy labels. So like what type of energy labels are and can be found in each neighborhood in the country, which can also allow you to identify neighborhoods that have already renewed most of the inventory, most of the houses, and some neighborhoods that are kind of lagging here a little bit.
That's nice.
I think this is one of the most underused features of the platform. There is so much data available, from building types to energy labels, but also the average age of your neighbors.
Yeah, I love this one.
So this is great, right? So we can see here Aardehout, very old people. I know that at the office I tend to lean towards the older demographic. But here in the new developments we can see a much younger audience. So if you are an expat, if you are unaware of what each and every neighborhood does in a country, use Walter Maps to get a perfect understanding of like who your neighbors could be. From home ownerships, social benefits, residential backgrounds. It really gives you all the insights that you need to make a well thought out decision, not only which house to bid on, but which neighborhood you can call your home. This is Walter Maps, and then from Walter Maps, just briefly go back into the reports and show you something new. Something that we launched only a couple of weeks ago, and we call it Walter Super Agent. If you have to explain Super Agent to the audience, what would you do, Martina?
Oh, wow. I would say it's your know-it-all in the Dutch housing market. So whatever you want to know, whether it's almost like a juice channel as well, because if you want to know what the statistics are of a selling agent, you want to know if their strategy most of the times is maybe listing houses very low, deliberately low, so you have to overpay by a lot, like overbid with a lot. Super agent can tell you that, but super agent can also tell you how much your house is worth. Maybe you saw something during a viewing that you're uncertain of, or the VVA, like in this case, the house that we were looking at, is that professionally owned? What does that mean? And what does that entail? And what if it's not? Is that maybe a little red flag or an orange flag? So super agent really is your assistant in getting the house that you want on your terms.
It's a little know-it-all. So let's simply ask super agent what super agent thinks we should do. Good to know. Super agent is built. Super agent is built on top of our database, yes, allowing it to tap into all the market analysis that we use to help our buyers secure the winning offer. Behind the scenes, we created up to 20 different real estate analysis that you, as a user, can tap into. And I just want to show you some of my favorite examples. Justin, let's switch over to Super Agent. So, in Super Agent, which by the way is simply available by clicking Ask Super Agent here on the platform. And then let's just start with the basics, right? Let's start with a simple question. What should I offer on this home? If all goes well, we'll fire off a sequence of analysis that will look into the bidding behavior of the competition. It will look into the sales performance of the selling agent. And quicker than I can do this introduction, we already have our bid strategies available. Play it safe. So we know the fair market value because we just made that calculation, right? So fair market value is 387,000 euros. But a fair market value doesn't always guarantee a winning offer. So we actually recommend two more exciting bid strategies. Play to win and go all in. Play to win is a bid amount based upon all the statistics that we can find for this listing, which should put you in, let's say, the top 3 of offers. Go ahead.
Yeah, so is this super agent feature, is this a feature that only the Walter agents can use, or?
This is the great thing, nothing that we build at Walter is only for agents. So Super Agent is available for all of our paid subscribers. Even our free subscribers can make use of Super Agent up to 3 questions, and then we'll kind of nag you to start paying the bill.
And upgrade to Plus.
Upgrade to Plus.
Yes.
So play to win, slightly higher. And then we have our go all in strategy. Why go all in? Sometimes you simply want to outsmart the competition by spending a little bit more than what you're comfortable with, but never bid more than what you could actually pay for. We have our 3 bid strategies. And then we want to spend a little bit more time on why these strategies are available. We have our comparable sales, which are the same comparable houses that we just picked in our calculator. And then we have the market context. So trying to get a good understanding of why these numbers are giving us the right output. I'm actually quite curious to see what the sales performance is of the selling agent and of the selling agent. And hopefully we can get some help here as well. The nice thing is, if you take a look at the entire market, we know exactly what a selling agent has done over the past 5 years, over the past 10 years. And especially focusing in on what the selling agent would typically do in this case. Overspaan Makelaardij is the listing agent. They've sold 173 properties in the past 12 months. Typically, they sell about 9% above the asking price. And keep in mind, this is information you cannot find anywhere. Well, you could spend €2 per purchase price, spend up to €500, and then crunch all those numbers for just this realtor. But in this case, with just 2 simple questions, you get a perfect understanding of what this selling agent typically does. And I kind of want to make sure, if I do go for the play-in, go all in, if I go for the go all in, how high are my chances of winning?
And I'm so curious, like, how does Super Agent know this? How does it crunch the numbers?
Yeah, so like I said before, we have all the transactions in our database. I think we have up to 1.3 million transactions from the past 5 years in our database. We know the performance of a selling agent, we know the changes, the momentum in the market. And because we have so much data available, we're then feeding it to our AI. And simply drawing conclusions from all this data avoids the so-called hallucinations. And we're actually showing real numbers, real data, and real facts that you can build your decision on. Relative chances of winning, and again, this aligns perfectly with what we're seeing in our bid strategies. 1/3 of the offers typically are accepted offers if you play it safe. If you are a little bit more extreme, up to 2/3, and if you go all in, up to 90% certainty that the historical prices that Walter and Walter Super Agent is suggesting will result in the highest offer. But I think, and funny enough, we're already asking it the question, like, why can't we be 100% certain? Why can't we be 100% certain that our numbers result in the winning offer, Martine?
Yeah, well, because it's not only about the highest bid, of course. So we really need to know, why are the sellers selling this property? When is the perfect transfer date for you, for the sellers? Do you have some of your own funds that you can put in this offer? Because I can tell you, if you're going to submit a bid of, let's say, what would be a great bid?
I think we're still talking about an offer, and I want to go all in.
400K-ish.
400K, 406.
Okay.
What would make my offer stand out compared to what others might do?
Well, if I would bid 406 and you would bid 400 and you would have no financial contingencies,
yep,
you would win for sure if you have a realtor.
Nice.
Because if you work with an agent, then the selling agent knows that you actually did your homework, that you're serious, that you're that your expectations are being managed.
Yep.
So all of that is very crucial when submitting a bid. Also, a personal letter can help. All of these things, you should look at it as almost like a pizza. And then there are different slices, and all of the slices combined make sure that you either win or lose, and just certain parts of it are the highest bid. And I think it was this week or last week when we won a bid and we were number 3. So we weren't the highest bid, we weren't the second highest, we were the number 3 because they trusted us. And of course, since we are the biggest buying agency in the Netherlands, people know our name, and we stand for what we say and what we do. And if we make a bid, we're serious. Our clients are serious, and that helps because sellers want to sell. And the worst thing that could happen is that you submit a bid, then you win, and then the sellers hear after 4 weeks of getting the mortgage, I'm sorry, it's not going to work out, or they decided to cancel. So that's a worst case scenario, and we make sure that won't happen.
Nice. So like Martine mentioned, it is not just the offer, it's also who is submitting the offer, when do you submit the offer, what type of contingencies are sent alongside your offer, and in the end, make sure that you submit the strongest offer. I want to do a bit more demos of Super Agent. Right, it's so fun to just have this conversation. We're seeing thousands of questions being asked every single time. Justin, can you flip on the screen again? And then we'll just show you some highlights of like how we power users use Super Agent to get a good understanding of the market. We actually have some examples for you ready. So if you want to do a market analysis between your two favorite cities, Haarlem and Almere, just talk to Super Agent in a way that you would talk to ChatGPT. We'll try to fire up the numbers, give you those analyses within just a few seconds. Over here, just a quick overview, some key takeaways of why Haarlem is more expensive than Almere and vice versa. So compare cities, compare neighborhoods to give you the perfect insights. Comparing agents is kind of fun, right? Because nobody has this information available. So if we just want to look into the sales performance of the top makelaars in Haarlem, we should be able to figure this out. You can use this when you're buying a house. You can also use this when you're selling your house. If you want to get a good understanding of who would be the perfect makelaar to sell your apartment, these are type of questions.
I use this for my house. It was brilliant. Yeah.
I think one of the most fun things to do is to make a short list of two or three selling agents that were able to sell my apartment based on these statistics. Another fun one is to actually use Super Agent as your wingman during the house hunt, right? So you can ask simple questions like, find me ready to move in properties in random city with an energy label A and a 50 meters living area. We have a live tracker to look at every property that hits the market, and then we can be able to build on top of this a short list of properties that you want to look into. Interesting questions that allow you to dive deeper into the market, get a good understanding of why a certain neighborhood outperforms another neighborhood, and again, combine all these outputs with whatever you see in Walter Maps, the information that you get out of the Walter reports, to eventually decide whether you want to submit the offer on your own, book a session with one of our buying experts, or sign up to our buying service and help us create the winning offer.
Yes, and I have a question about
go
this
ahead,
actually,
go ahead.
Because I think a lot of people who are watching this, they are interested in the data deep dive. So I assume you're a bit of a do-it-yourselfer, but obviously you don't have the expertise maybe of a very senior agent like we have. How could you talk to Super Agent as if you are that super agent yourself that work at, because I feel like you're asking such clever questions, but how do we come up as a normal human being with these kind of questions?
As a normal, luckily we are also just normal human beings. I try to do the exact same thing in Super Agent that I would do if I'm talking to like ChatGPT, right? So I'm looking for a house, great. I'm just going to fire away. Justin, if you can share the screen again. I'm looking at an apartment in Amsterdam, 800K budget and 100 square meters.
So really as if it's a human.
If it is a human, you all know at Walter that I'm horrible at typing and grammar and all these things. So just start typing and let's see like what Super Agent has to tell us. The cool thing is that you're trying to get a good understanding of like how much does Walter know, right? So in this case, I'm seeing the Veenenhof. Tell me more about Veenenhof number 4. And it should be able to then switch analysis. So from searching houses, we are then going to do a deep dive into specifically this house. We have all this information available. And then again, what should I offer? Or let's compare it.
Let's compare it to an apartment that actually has like a balcony and something like that, because I need to go outside if I buy an apartment like this.
This has a balcony. We're really testing my typing skills here. And why this Veenenhof for home is more attractive. Because we have not just the list prices, but also the interior design, the pictures, the descriptions. and all those different things, we can start to, again, compare it to whatever house we think, or simply look into why apartments are more appealing. So I kind of use it as like a little bit of like a sparring buddy, where we're trying to figure out what do we think needs to happen. If there are topics that I am unaware of, explain this. So I talk to Super Agent the way that I would talk to the best aankoopmakelaar in the country. The cool thing is, just for 29 euros. 24/7, and always based upon facts and not just gut feeling. So these are some of my favorite queries in Super Agent.
What are you, like, you're starting a new chat now? Like, where are you taking us?
Where are we taking us? So I have my chat history. So every conversation that you've ever had with Super Agent, you can go back into that conversation 16 days ago. Great. And then we can simply continue the conversation. So we have recent chats. We also have those Walter reports, because Walter doesn't only chat. Walter also allows you to have these conversations. You can then go into the Veenenhof. We just discussed the Veenenhof in our chat. We already prepared our report, and then I can just simply go to the Walter report and again do this deep dive myself. Crunch the numbers a little bit in an excellent condition, and then go into that Walter report and kind of like restart that loop, right? So now I am in the Veenenhof, we have our estimated market value, we have our favorite graph, we can see the sales history, we can see the bidding behavior, and then if I want to make my own calculation, go back into this calculation again and kind of like restart that loop. So we see people having a few dozen conversations every day just by figuring this out. And everything works the exact same. We can go for top rated properties. Always try to search for properties that are sold nearby. Ideally, very recently sold. This just makes it easier and less of a gamble. What happened with those price indexes 3 months ago. Add those to the calculation. And try to figure out like where are we. Right now our market value is much lower, which kind of hints towards these houses having a much older home condition than the house that we're looking at, which means that we likely have to go back and have a look at the best maintained houses, add those to the mix, remove the ones that we added before because those are in a worse condition, actually all the way at the bottom, and then we can immediately see the impact here. If we choose the perfect comparable houses, we now make our own market valuation, go back into the valuation again. This is only for me, so you won't be bothered with that. And then I can kind of continue this conversation with Super Agent and say, I want to offer 700K. Is this wise? And again, you don't have to write full paragraphs. Kind of figure out like what you want to do and see what to mean. I want to make an offer. So really chat like you would do with every AI chat tool. We have our same bidding strategies, right? So we have our market value of 673. We have a competitive offer, again, slightly above what the real value of the house is. And then we have our all-in offer, very strong, the 90% chance based upon the comparable sales. And you can already see this is the information that I want to have when I make a buying decision. We are nearing the end of our webinar, and hopefully everybody that's watching, you've had a pretty decent understanding of some of the features that our buying agents use at Walter to make these buying decisions. Hopefully you sign up for Walter Plus, you book your first session, and maybe even decide to hire us as your aankoopmakelaar. Anything else that I forgot to share?
Well, maybe one thing, because it's really nice if you upgrade to Plus, you also get a free training call.
Yeah.
So if you feel like, wow, this was a lot, but I really want to give it a go, I hope I can do this, I can assure you, you can do this. And with a little bit of extra help from us, this free call is included in your subscription. and that will allow you to be a super agent yourself and use our super agent too.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining, and see you in a couple of weeks. Cheers.
Bye.